Good morning and welcome to Tuesday's devotions and to the beginning of the last month of 2025. Can you believe that? This year is done and dusted. I can't. I struggle to. And we're continuing our series on godly business practice. I want to talk about how much profit you should make in business. I have no doubt in your head you're thinking to yourself, what do you mean, Dudley? Surely I should make as much as possible. Or you may even be thinking, does God even speak about this? Well, yes, God does. And no, you shouldn't make as much as you can. Because believe it or not, as a Christian, you are responsible for far more than yourself. There's a wonderful short passage in Leviticus which really is in the section which describes how to live a holy life, which reads like this: when you harvest the crops of your land, do not harvest the grain along the edges of your field, and do not pick up what the harvesters drop. It's the same for your grape crop. Do not strip every last bunch of grapes from the vine, and do not pick up the grapes that fall to the ground. Leave them for the poor and the foreigners living among you. I am the Lord your God. Now, this was the law that applied to the Israelites, and it had a number of significant features to it, which I think should impact our lives and how we operate today. First of all, it was a command by God to those who owned and operated farms. His express command is not to strip every last bit of crop from your land. So in essence, God is saying to the farmer, be satisfied with an 80% return. And do not bring everything in. The reason God says that is that you leave some in the fields to be harvested by those who were poor and the foreigners in the land. The poor and the ostracized within the community were foremost in God's mind when it came to the harvest. Secondly, I think there's a wonderful principle here about how we deal with the poor and ostracized in our land. And it is this: they had to work the land in the same way that the farmer had to in order to get anything. God didn't say to the farmers, reap everything, but give 20% back to the poor and foreigners in your land. No, he said, do not reap everything. Leave the corners, pick up and don't pick up what has fallen. So that this allowed allow the poor to come and work the edges of your fields. This meant that the poor firstly had to come and seek permission from the landowner to work behind his laborers and the harvesters in his field. It also meant that they would have to work hard for what they got. Reaping the leftovers wasn't easy work, because obviously the farmer took the best and the most easy to get to, left the difficult edges to those who were poor. However, there was a dignity attached to it, because you worked hard for what you got. This wasn't a handout, but rather this was a reward for a solid day's work. And I believe we can learn something from this in dealing with the poor and the ostracized in our community. Thirdly, I think this verse speaks to our profit motives. And I say this because what God is saying here is that we mustn't see how much profit we can wring out of everything, but rather seek to get a good return, but leave a little for those who are prepared to work for it. I love this because I think it's a real challenge to businessmen and women in our day today, and for in the market as it is. Because God is saying, don't be so focused on wringing every last cent out of the deal. Rather leave a little over for someone else with a great idea to come along and deal with that. Don't be so focused on the bottom line that you forget that you're actually here to serve. Sometimes because of God's leading, you're in the right place at the right time and you make an absolute fortune. That doesn't mean that everything, absolutely everything, needs to be taken out of that deal. It sometimes means that you have to walk away with having done enough and got enough out of something, leaving something behind for someone else. Always remember that God blesses those who are willing to be conduits of his blessings to the disadvantaged and especially the poor. God has put you on the earth to make you a blessing to those around you. So make sure that you do this. So as you head into the weekend, there are so many ways that God can use us as conduits for blessings to others. For instance, just in the normal course of a week, you could leave something significant for the rubbish bin pickers who come around on collection day. You could tip your waiter more generously than normal when you take that client out to lunch. You can not hoover up all the Black Friday specials and leave something for someone else. You can look at your profit margins and consider how you can be a blessing to those who have nothing. Do you notice how different the mindset of Jesus is to the world? God created you to be a blessing. So go out and do that. God bless you. Have a stunning week.